Both of these baits are unique because they have something called drawing power. And what that is the lure's ability for a fish to come look, check out the bait. Just because they're so big, both these baits are roughly around 7 inches long, and they're both pretty wide. But what makes this different than a normal like swim bait or something is you can stall it around cover a lot better than you could, say, I don't know, a bass tricks on a like 1 ounce jig head or whatever. That's more for deep fishing. But like for this, it's when you're looking for fish around shallow wood, docks, laydowns, grass, especially floating docks, marinas, anything like that. And these baits just draw so much fish, and you're able to see fish either that bite your lure or most of the time followers. And there's ways you can get followers to turn into bites, but right now we're talking about pre-fishing, and all you want to do is see that fish and see how big the size is. And instead of like catching the fish and getting them lockjaw, this is so much more effective. I mean, you don't even have to fish this in tournament, but pre-fishing, you can see the exact size of fish in your area. And it's not like it's a big bait and you don't get a lot of followers. You get followers all the time with this bait. One of the keys with these baits, though, is make sure you have a pair of polarized glasses on. And I promise you can see all those fish.
This past spring, me and my friend Mason Huey started throwing these glide baits and experimenting with them. As you can see, they work equally as good in ponds.
So when would I choose this bait over this bait? I like the actual hard glide bait when I'm fishing more open water, but still around some cover, such as docks and laydowns, or docks, mainly docks and like big chunk rocks, stuff like that. And what this does is it looks, and also really, really clear water, because that looks a lot like a normal fish. The downside to these baits is they're pretty expensive. And this is a Lucky Craft Real AU 1 something. I mean, it's not a huge bait, and it's Lucky Craft. I mean, it's $20. That's not terrible in the glide bait. That's pretty good. It's hard to find them that cheap, but that's $20 out of your lure. I mean, that's normally like your high quality mega bass, other lures and stuff. But if you're on a budget, I definitely recommend the Zoom Super Fluke. And what this is, I mean, everyone's using Zoom Super Fluke, but this is the Magnum. It's 7 inches long, and I rig it on a 6/0 EWG worm hook. And the key with this bait is to throw it on mono. And why I like mono is it keeps it close to the surface, because the higher it is off the water, the more surface area underneath the water you have to look at. Like, say the bait was on the bottom, the only thing you're fishing for are fish on the bottom. If bait is on top, fish from the bottom, the middle, and the top section can all see it, and they'll come to the bait. I also like to throw this rod on like a 7-foot to 7.2 medium heavy rod with a fast action and a high speed reel, of course. And the cool thing about this is you can burn it and kill it at the same time. So I mean, you're fishing fast, but you're also fishing slow at the same time. And these baits you can get them on top of the water, and you'll be surprised about how many big fish follow this bait. When I first started throwing this, I actually won some Elastec Z-Man, like huge ones. They're bigger than this. And I just threw it for fun. And the thing about Elastec is it actually floats, and I was throwing it weightless. And I had a lake house in Lake Martin, and I didn't have a boat or anything at the time, but I used to throw it off the dock. And I'd be so surprised about these big largemouth, I'm talking 4, 5, 6 pounders, just swimming underneath that fluke, just checking it out. That's what really opened my eyes to this type of fishing. And I forgot to mention earlier about the tackle for this bait. I really like a 7.5, 8-foot, moderate fast, heavy action. And that's a crankbait rod. That's your 10XD, stuff like that. It's a big crankbait rod. And I really like that rod. I mean, 7-11 works too, 8 foot, but I really do like that 7.5 because with this bait, I like to lob it, and the key with this bait is the landing. Is you have to make it land as soft as possible because although how big the bait is, it's more of a finesse technique to me because you really have to land that bait softly and make it as natural as possible. And I really like to throw this bait on the 7.5. Like I said, the exact rod I throw it on is a 7.5 or 7.6 medium heavy Fitzgerald Stunner series. And it's a good rod because that rod is actually a little bit more parabolic. Fitzgerald makes a really parabolic rod. And I really like that with this bait because, one, I can load up on fish just like I could with a crankbait and play those fish because, it's treble hook bait. And I can play those fish really well, but it's got enough backbone that I can wedge this fish. It's actually designed as a skinny dipper rod. They're from Florida, and they buzz skinny dippers and that kind of stuff and jam little biggies across the thing. But I found that rod works perfectly for this glide bait. And you'll be surprised in what this thing catches. But also, I want to talk about my line size with this bait. This shocks a lot of people. I really like to throw lighter line with this bait just because with the lighter line, the less drag it has in the water. And mono has a lot of drag, so you don't want mono with this bait. You want fluorocarbon, and 15 pound is really key to getting that bait to do a nice, soft, nice wide S action. It doesn't look all that real to me, but it draws a lot of fish. And I mean, some guys gonna argue with me saying, "Oh my gosh, it's so natural when it does that." I mean, think what you think, but when it comes down to it, it's the fish's opinion. So, I mean, if it gets bit just straight reeling it, that's good. But basically for me, I'll do short little pops with my rod, and I basically get it to roll like a jerkbait when you snap, 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 and then point your rod at the jerkbait and give it slack. The jerkbait will actually roll. And that's the exact same thing that will happen with this when you give it just a hair, like just a little. One of the other things I forgot to mention about this bait is, both these baits, for a matter of fact, is you want clear water. What I mean by that is like between 2.5, 3 feet visibility or more. But again, that's all preference because, say me, I fish Lake Martin a lot. Places there, excuse me. You can get 10 feet clarity at some places on the right day and right time of year. But say, I don't know, you fall upriver, it's pretty muddy up there most of the time. It depends on what you fish. So I mean, they're guys fish fall a lot. Their clear is different than my clear, and their dirty is different than my dirty, if that makes any sense. And yeah, so I mean, if it's clear water to you and you think that it's clear enough to throw this, then go for it. It's not like it's a set tone where it's like, it's 3 feet of water, you gotta do this or whatever. It's not that. It's just experiment with different baits and just try new things, and I guarantee you that you'll like the success that you have. Thanks again for watching my video. Like and subscribe and tell your buddies. Follow me on Instagram at KickBass106.